45 years ago, Donkey Kong was released in arcades across the world. It was a video game that not only marks the first appearance of the legendary Super Mario, but also became one of the most iconic video games of its generation. So, to celebrate the 45th anniversary of Donkey Kong, the best thing that you could possibly do is interview its creator, Shigeru Miyamoto. But that is obviously not going to be happening on this show today, so I decided to do the second best thing, which is interview a former Donkey Kong World Champion who is recognized by the current leaderboard of Twin Galaxies as the first ever person to achieve 1 million points in Donkey Kong. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Wiebe. How are you doing today?
I'm doing outstanding. Thank you for that great invitation. I like that. That's great.
Yes, you're very welcome. I'm glad to have you on. And I've never actually had a professional gamer on the show. I've had people who develop games, but never actually one who actually plays the games themselves. So this will be something different for me as well.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, I suppose we'll start with the first question, and that would be, how did you actually get into the whole world of video games?
That's a great question. Well, it goes back to the arcade days in the early 80s when the arcade, golden era is what they called it back then, where the kids would jump on our BMX bikes and race down to the arcades and throw in all our quarters in those machines. And we also had some home consoles. When we couldn't get enough of the arcades, you'd come home and play Atari 2600. Or if you were lucky enough, you might have Intellivision or ColecoVision. So we grew up with those. That was just the fear then was the video games were like taking over kids, like what people fear social media is today. Like they're keeping the kids like from socializing, but actually we hung out in the arcades. We still got out and ran around. As back in those days, you'd be out. No one was afraid of getting kidnapped or anything. Like your parents just let you go run around at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, get home. So it was just a great time to grow up. And I was basically addicted to video games, I have to admit it. So that's where it all started. And I guess I never stopped playing them.
No, definitely haven't, because you eventually found Donkey Kong, and which eventually you decided to become a competitive Donkey Kong player after playing it. So when did you first experience Donkey Kong?
That happened in 1981, and I talk about it in my memoir. I went into this pizza parlor it's like called Factoria Square. It was like a mall, essentially a small mall. It had a Pietro's Pizza. And I went in there with my family one night, and there was all this buzz about Donkey Kong. I hadn't played it yet, so I went in there and it was sitting in there, and I went down and tried my hand at it, and then even though I sucked, I couldn't get very far. I was hooked. It was so cool. It was like versus like if you remember Asteroids and Space Invaders, how archaic those looked. The graphics of Donkey Kong, even though the controls were simple, it was just like amazing. The motions of Mario, the movements were very intricate, and the music and the different screens.
Yeah.
It was totally elevated gameplay, in my opinion, at that time.
Yeah. Like even me, when I first played that game as like a 7-year-old in like a little hotel, had like a tabletop arcade thing, and Donkey Kong was on it. Even as a 7-year-old, experiencing all the bigger, more graphical games, was still impressed by, ooh, look at the animations of Donkey Kong and the little simplistic gameplay that's stupidly hard, but I gotta keep putting the quarters in.
Yep, they knew what they were doing when they designed that thing.
100%. What made you decide to become a competitive Donkey Kong player, where you went, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be the best?
Yeah, well, when I was in high school, I was still like struggling with this screen called the third elevators, and we would get by it just by pure luck at that time. So my scores were still in the like 100,000, maybe 200,000 if I got lucky enough. But then when I got my own machine in college, I found out my fraternity brother had a fraternity brother in his house that had his own machine. And when I went into their house one day, I saw him playing it, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. I'm going to go get my own machine. So I just got it on my own machine and put it in my fraternity. This was at the University of Washington back in like 1990. Um, but I had no idea of going for any world records. It was just like I loved the game back in when I was a kid and in high school, and I just thought this would be so cool to have. And then I learned how to get past that third elevator screen regularly. So there is a trick to it. And if you watch The King of Kong, it explains like I have a grease pencil. I'm going through the different spring patterns. Um, so once I got through that regularly, I was able to see my scores just climb. I got into the 700,000s. And then one summer, I hit this kill screen, which I had no idea existed. And then I was so mad because I was nearing 1,000,000 points, and that was what my goal was, to see the rollover, the zeros all churn up on the machine. And then I couldn't figure out. I thought I was just being killed by an invisible barrel, or I thought there was a glitch in the board or whatever. And then I went and played it again and got to the same screen, and it killed me. This time I had an extra man, and I died twice on it. And then I sold it thinking like this machine's jinxed or whatever, it's just broken.
Oh, little did you know.
Yeah, I had no idea. I wasn't going for world records. I didn't know anything about Twin Galaxies. And then this was before the internet had taken off. So in like late 1990s, I think it was like 1999, I did end up looking on the internet and just typed in Donkey Kong World Record, and then there's Billy Mitchell's name came up. This was before there was another gamer, Tim Zerby, who actually broke Billy's record before I got to it. But when I first looked it up, it was Billy's score was on top. And then I got to get myself a machine because I knew I'd beaten that score. The Billy's score was like 874,000 and some change. So I got my own machine again on eBay. Didn't take long to get back up and running. And about a month later, I got a record like 885,000, not much above what Tim Zerby had scored, like 879,000. But it was enough that I sent it in to Twin Galaxies, and there wasn't much recognition at that record. It was weird. It was like I turned it in. There was a little blurb on Twin Galaxies, but it wasn't until I got a different score later. I don't know why things happen. Like if you look at things that go on social media, why does this video turn viral and this one didn't? Whatever, everything aligned, and the 947,000 score, like all the media caught on it. I think it must have been that Twin Galaxies might have made more attention to it, but I wasn't even going for world records back then until I saw that I was capable of doing it. And then I didn't think it was going to amount to much other than just a name on a high scoreboard. Then lo and behold, I get into the middle of this controversy, and all this happens with Twin Galaxies, and it's all in the film, The King of Kong. And if you watch that, you'll see what happened to me.
Oh, yes, yes. But I'm going to assume that if you're watching this interview, you have seen The King of Kong, because if you haven't, oh my God, you gotta watch. It is classic cinema, but it's also a documentary at the same time. Talks about a bit of the history of Donkey Kong and everything in it. So I suppose since you've actually mentioned The King of Kong, when did the film crew for that start shooting the movie? When was the moment where they went, okay, we need to make this into a movie?
Yeah, that was in 2005. So in 2003 is when I submitted the 947,000 point score. But I always had my sights on 1,000,000. That was just like a temporal thing. Like there was some rumor that Billy was scoring 950,000, but I never saw any of his tapes surface at that point. So I kept going further and further, and I submitted more tape after tape to Twin Galaxies, and finally broke 1,000,000, got 1,006,000. And this is where I think Billy was trying to get the first to 1,000,000, and I beat him to the punch, I guess. And I think this is where they started coming after me to look for they can take down my score. Like, is there something going on? And so some people came to my house when I came home one day after I was house painting it was a summer. I was between finishing up school. I was going to school to be a teacher. I came home one afternoon and there's two people in my garage. The garage door is wide open. And I was thinking, are these people in the neighborhood? Walked by, saw Donkey Kong, just thought they would roll into my garage like it was an arcade. And then I learned who they were. It was Brian Koo and Perry Rogers, who lives in the neighborhood. Perry does, or did. And then they were questioning my board. And then when I told my friend Mike Thompson, who's a screenwriter, sold manuscripts to LA, to Hollywood, he was thinking, this has to be told. This story is getting out of control. Like, why are people caring this much about Donkey Kong? So he knew some filmmakers who were finishing up a documentary called New York Doll. And then once they were done with, they were in the editing phase of that. And then I met Ed Cunningham, who played football at the University of Washington, where I went to school. I didn't know him personally, but through a mutual friend, we met Ed in downtown Seattle, and he was saying, put together a timeline of all the things that have happened up till this point. So I went and Microsoft Word and typed out all the stuff right from fresh in my memory. I have it still on my computer right now. And I gave it to Ed. And then in May, or I think it was May of 2005, my son's birthday, is when they first came out and started rolling film. And then from there, they had missed the people coming to my garage, but they had to go back and recreate that and tell that in the King of Kong. They talk about it, but it wasn't like happening as they were filming at that time. But they just kept rolling, and they didn't know really where they were going with the documentary. They had about 4 stories that they were kind of following, because you never know if one's going to fizzle. And it turned out that once they met Billy and they knew me, they saw like these two people are like totally like perfect opposites, I guess. I don't know how you want to say it, but
oh no, that's the perfect definition. Would be total opposites. I mean, one is a very quiet, family sort of guy, and the other, I'm the best gamer of it's you got your underdog and your champ. You got that.
Yeah, they knew they struck gold once they saw the dichotomy there. But so then they just rolled tape. It took them a year and a half or so, and then once they got done with it, they submitted it to Slam Dance, which was a film festival. It was like 2007, January 2007. And then New Line Cinemas wanted it and wanted to do they bought it. Picture House was like the distributor of it through the theater. They have a small theatrical run of it. And New Line wanted to do a recreation of it in Hollywood. And then it never happened because they couldn't quite get a script that worked. But it was all crazy how everything took off.
I don't think you can make a film like a fictional movie out of the King of Kong, because honestly, when you look at it, it's stranger than fiction itself.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And there was still some people say it wasn't accurate, but when you look at the events that happened, it tells what happened. Maybe there's some stuff that they didn't include or edited it somehow that might make it look more this than that. It actually more exaggerated, if you want to say it that way. But it was for cinema. It's not like a documentary you'd see on what we have is Channel 9, where it's like a bunch of historical people talking and boring. No one wants to see that. They wanted to see some drama.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's no, like, mentioning of, like, and so that game was made by Shigeru Miyamoto, and the character was called Jumpman, but then he was Mario. There's nothing like that. There's more like, I know your friend Mike, who pitched the idea, he had a couple of interviews, and you knew every time he was on, he was trying to get the story going, like, oh, when I used to see Steve in school, I'd never seen a man cry more than Steve. Like, he was trying to get the beats. He was trying to get the beats.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they got some tears out of me during one time here and there in the documentary, but those were genuine. They must have said something that triggered my emotions. But it was all fun.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I want to speak about the score that was initially rejected, the score that kind of started the whole King of Kong movie, because we actually see a little bit of footage of this unrecognized score from the film, and you're in the middle of a Donkey Kong game. You're at level 15, I think, and in the middle of it, your son, who was really young at the time, needed dad go and help him out with
Yeah.
something. What the hell was going on through your mind when you were having the game of your life and then you got the worst interruption at the worst possible time?
Yeah, no, that was surreal to say the least. Yeah, I was just trying to sneak out to the garage on a quiet afternoon. I'm not supposed to play in the daytime because I'm supposed to be watching the kids. So I got out there and I was cruising along, and then all of a sudden I heard some footsteps towards the door, and then you see what happens. But it was my neglect. I should have been watching.
Yeah, he was like, "Sorry,
And
son,
yeah,
time to play Donkey
yeah,
Kong.
it's like
I'll come to you later."
he doesn't. I'm getting a world record. Don't you care? No, he didn't care. Yeah, exactly.
But then when the people like came over to your house to have a look at the board and everything, um, what was going on through your mind at that point? Were you going, "What the hell is is this about?"
Yeah. Well, it was happened. It was 2 weeks when I submitted the million point score and was talking with Robert. Um, I was told that Billy had also submitted a million, and I guess he got 1,014,000 was what his score was. But they were saying we're going to have a write up and we're going to get you guys on Letterman, Leno, whatever. We're going to have some. Hopefully, we get you guys all in these late night TV shows about this Donkey Kong that you guys both achieved the million points. And then I I was gonna go along with it, but if you watch the King of Kong, there's Mr. Awesome, Roy Schilt.
Yeah, Mr. Awesome.
He was in my ear and saying, "Don't go along. I mean, you got the million first." And I was thinking, I did. I got the million first. And then I told Robert, well, why does it say simultaneous? They wanted to say simultaneously got a million. And once I mentioned that, there was a 2 week, like I didn't hear from them for 2 weeks. And it felt like I'd said something really taboo. And apparently I did. And then the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, those guys are in my garage. So I put two and two together. And then they ended up finding Roy Schilt had sent me a board. It wasn't directed directly from Roy's place. It went straight from what Mike's Arcade in Utah, went from there to my place, but they were seeing Roy Schilt's return address on the box. Like if it didn't get to my place, then it was going to get bounced to Roy's place, but it didn't come from Roy. But they were looking at that and saying, this is a smoking gun. This guy's cheating. Roy Schilt's doctoring boards or whatever's happening in this laboratory you have at this garage. It was wild, yeah. So I didn't know exactly the extent of their hatred for Roy. I mean, I knew that Roy didn't like Twin Galaxies, but I mean, as far as death threats and all these things, I wasn't aware of all that. So I kind of got put in the middle of this feud, and since I was attached to Roy, they didn't trust anything I was doing at that time. So I basically I was dead in the water at that point until the documentary came along, and then I was thinking this could be my hope that they can get all this stuff out in the light. Like I don't know what's going on over in Twin Galaxies camp, and it happened to work because like once they started filming, I could see what was going on. I didn't really realize Brian Koo when I first watched the documentary for the first time. Even though I was at Funspot with Brian Koo, who was running around, the scene where a kill screen's coming out. If you want to know, that's infamous scene, or famous, or whatever you want to call it.
It's definitely a moment in the movie.
Yeah, a moment. That's a very iconic moment. I didn't know he was doing that. Actually, I never had even any inclination that he was kind of walking around calling Billy until I saw the documentary. And then I realized, oh, okay, this is what's going on. They're kind of teaming up. Um, but that's fine. I don't care if they're collaborating or talking to each other. It's not a big deal. But it made more sense once I saw all from what the filmmakers were seeing when they started rolling the cameras.
In the film, you went to Funspot to try achieve a world record, and in the film, it's depicted that you actually did get the world record for about a day until Billy Mitchell decided to show up with his tape. I'd like to ask you about that. Were you initially intending to go to Funspot to get the world record, or did the King of Kong movie opportunity kind of open that door to Funspot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wasn't thinking about going to Funspot. The documentary team was aware of it, and then they brought it to my attention that, hey, there's this tournament. You need to go out there and prove yourself. So that's what I did. And my friend Mike Thompson paid my way out there. I'm in Seattle, and I had to go to New Hampshire. That's all the way across the United States.
Holy moly, that's a journey.
Yeah, it was a journey, and it was like in the middle of my school. It was at the end of the school year, but I was still teaching. I was in a long-term sub situation, so I had to think I might have had to call in sick on a Friday or something. The tournament was the tournament was on a weekend, so
yeah.
But I got out of there, and when I came back, I was like around, flying 4 hours across the countries a lot. So I mean, it's not as far as like going from here to like overseas or something, but it's still like when you're leaving Sunday, get home Sunday night, and I got to go back to school the next morning. I was pretty worn out, especially having, played video games all day long for the whole weekend. I was kind of wiped out, but it was, yeah. So I did have the record for, like you said, a day, and then Billy Mitchell trumped my score, brought in a videotape of all things. Like, he's the guy that was telling me he shouldn't be showing videotapes for your records. But it was kind of ironic that he did use a videotape for his score at least at that time.
Yeah. And then after the movie happened and it came out and everything, you got almost overnight recognition within the gaming community, and across the USA you were appearing on a couple of TV shows, you're on some papers. Probably the biggest one you got on was the USA version of the Late Late Show, of all things.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking when all this media publicity was happening for your Donkey Kong records? Were you going, what's going on here?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming at all. I did not expect it, but I was enjoying it. It was a great ride, and it was thrilling. I was jumping on airplanes, flying over to different film festivals, getting standing ovations. Like, it was wild. I wouldn't have dreamed of this coming from Donkey Kong. If you tried to make this happen, it wouldn't happen. It's like one of those things, like, you don't try, and then it happens. If you tried, it's not going to happen. And then it's still happening even today. It's stuff happening here and there. Just the how it's it's just reverberating, like permanent waves being sent out. It's cool though. It's like I love it. It's fun. It's a small enough level. I'm not getting mobbed in public or something. I can go out in public. No one even knows who I am. But if I went to an arcade convention, there'd probably be a few people that recognize me. So it's a small enough attention that it's still like doesn't take over my life where I'm being hounded by anybody. But it's great. It's fun to meet people and fans of the movie.
Yeah, definitely, and especially with not that like top tier celebrity level where there's no bombarding left, right, and center or any of that.
No.
So that helps as well. But then again, you did at this time have a quite big appearance on TV at the time, and that was for E3 2009, aired on G4 TV. You were doing a kill screen run of Donkey Kong in front of the live audience at E3 and the G4 TV viewership as well. What was it like having that amount of people watch you perform a game of Donkey Kong?
It was well, I'm first glad that I was played in public. I mean, going to an arcade and playing is a different than going and playing in front of people that aren't gamers. It's like it's a different thing. Like the first time I played in public, not just in with gamers watching in front of just people that were fans of the documentary was at what was the place in San Diego, Comic-Con San Diego. And they had me up on this balcony thing playing. And I remember being terrified. I was like so nervous because it was like they were having like this tournament that they were going to have for the people that were just patrons of Comic-Con. And then they were saying like if I put up a score, they weren't having any contest for beating Steve Wiebe, but I felt like, what if I put up some lame score and some guy just comes up here and crushes my score? That'd be very like humbling, embarrassing. So I was petrified there. But then once I started playing more places, I got more comfortable. So that brings me to the E3, where if that would have been like the first time coming out of the movie, I would have been like petrified, probably not even able to play. But I was able to focus, and I remember turning around in the middle between boards and like looking around and going, wow, I can't believe like I'm playing Donkey Kong and there's like an audience, like a boxing match kind of atmosphere to it. I think they had people, I don't think the people made them themselves, but someone had a hammer, hammer time signs and stuff. It was all put up by the production team of Ether. I don't think any fan came up there and brought their own stuff, but
Trust me,
it was wild.
if that was done in 2026, they absolutely would have had a hammer time hammer.
Yeah.
The conventions these days are much more whack than they were back in the day.
Yeah. But I remember this thinking, I can't believe of this all happening for a Donkey Kong game. It was great though.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only did you set a record on Donkey Kong, but you also set a lot of records in Donkey Kong Jr. as well. So what made you sort of go and play Donkey Kong Jr. as well as the original Donkey Kong?
Yeah, I loved Juniors. When I was in the arcades, when Junior came out, it was like 1982, I think it was. And that was a great game in its own right. It was different mechanics. Like you're controlling a Junior, which is more awkward and, you know, limbs are flying, or it's not as like small and like a little petite Mario walking around here. It's more to Junior's movements, but I love that game and I never quite mastered it. There was a couple levels that threw me off, but when I got my own machine, I bought a Junior. I don't know if I don't think I was looking for a Junior necessarily, but that was the one I found. And then I still liked that game, so I thought, well, I can always get a regular Donkey Kong board, or I didn't know how it was, or just get another whole arcade Donkey Kong. But I started off with Junior, and I was just when I was playing that, I started learning those boards that I was getting caught up on, and then I ended up getting scores that matched. And Billy Mitchell also had the Junior Donkey Kong Junior record. I was getting close to his score, and there was a kill screen on Junior, which I didn't know was there either. So when I got to that kill screen, I had only like 800,000 points, and Billy had 950,000 or so points on Junior. So I had to go in and think about how could I. This is where I started thinking about what's called point pressing, where you have to sit on the board, and instead of just clearing the board quickly, you try to manufacture points, like jumping. What this Mario's hideout is one of the boards in Junior, and there's these sparks that are going around. They're kind of like barrels. You can jump them. And if you sit on the board and just jump these, it's so boring to do that, but it will get you like 10 or 12,000 back when I was playing it, more points than just if you raced and cleared it. So when I figured that out, I was able to get past his score and got into the millions. So I got the Junior score, then I went back and did what I was going for in the first place, getting the Donkey Kong score. So, but the problem was I didn't have enough space in my garage for two machines. So I got in this double Donkey Kong board is where the big controversy was. but in the documentary, they don't talk about the double Donkey Kong board because it was too. I guess the first cut of the movie was presented to some people, and the double Donkey Kong just went right. I mean, it's like, what are you talking about? What's double Donkey Kong? It was too confusing and it was too long, so they had to
Yeah.
basically make it very simple and say that I was just had gummy substance on my board, which was one thing they also thought I was cheating. I had some gummy substance on my board. So yeah, the junior record was one thing I was really proud of at the time too.
Yeah. Definitely one thing to be proud of for sure. Especially because if I looked at the current Twin Galaxies leaderboard just to see where you're placing on it, and for Donkey Kong Jr., you place eighth still on the
Top
leaderboard. You're
10.
still top 10. In Donkey Kong, after setting a personal best 6 years back, you're still 13th in the Donkey Kong leaderboard. So how does it feel that after all these years have passed, I don't even think you've done a Donkey Kong Jr. record in nearly 16 years. How does it feel that you are still amongst the best of the best gamers for Donkey Kong, like nearly decades later at this point?
Yeah, it feels good that my scores are at least near the top 10. And in Junior's case, I'm in the top 10. So I think having it where everybody is now aware of the Donkey Kong game before going back to the 90s when I was getting those scores, I was having a hard time believing I was the only person in the whole universe that could actually do these scores. So it didn't make sense. Like, I can't be that great, like the only person. And it turns out there's multiple people that can do it. They just didn't know about the game. But once everyone learned about it, they were able to go after it and had the same ground as I did. They had the opportunity to look at tapes on YouTube that maybe I didn't have the opportunity to look at when I was going getting the records. But once everybody was able to see and play the game, and it was out in the open, it's still good that I'm top 13. I think that's a great, even though I'm not number one, it's something that is a really good score. And to get the number one spot though is like, I've thought about it once in a while, but then I think how much time I would actually have to commit and then not even be guaranteed that I would get the record. Like, just think about how many hours a day, like 16 hours a day. I know that the Robbie Lakeman, who has the record, 1,272,000, I think it is. It's way up there. It's like my personal best was 1,106,000, I think it was.
I have it here. It was 1,106,200 points.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still like 160,000 away from that or whatever, hundreds. Um, but that's like the level of point pressing to get from where I am to that. I could work at it and get better, but I know that Robbie Lakeman was basically playing like 16 or whatever, maybe even 20 hours a day. I don't know how many hours a day, but a lot of hours a day. And they were taking it to a brand new level. And I don't think I have the I don't know if I have the ability for one, because I mean, it's really hard to do that kind of point pressing. But even then, if I had the time or the ability, I mean, the time commitment, a whole nother level. I don't know if I can dig into that again. It's just way too much.
Yeah, because I mean, I've tried like to get good at Donkey Kong and do a couple of point pressing stuff, and it just you feel like someone like me, you feel like this is luck, this is luck. Oh God, this is luck. Oh, I can't even get past the third elevator. Oh, you know. So I could only
Yeah.
imagine being at that like top of the top of. I was looking at a little bit of your personal best, and I was going, now, Steve, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a new level of, I mean, the bottom hammer on the barrels was what I first, I don't know if they call it discovered it, but I was thinking of a way of point pressing, kind of like in Donkey Kong Jr. And no one used the bottom hammer except if you're in an emergency, like if you're in the pickle and there's no way out of it, you jump and grab the bottom hammer. But it's a dangerous thing because once you lose the hammer, then your bunch of barrels have already been rolled out on the board, and you might be in a difficult position to jump the barrels. So I realized, though, grabbing the bottom hammer is what was the ticket to get 1,000,000 points on Donkey Kong. If you don't do the bottom hammer, getting 1,000,000 is going to be really, really hard, if not impossible. I mean, it's going to be really, really hard to do that. So, but to get the 1,200,000, what Robbie's doing, what I started doing too was, if you know the game of Donkey Kong, there's the top hammer. And instead of getting that right away, what you do is you group barrels at the top, and then you jump them, but then you go down the ladder and jump them again, and you kind of do this circular thing, and you can rake up more points on the barrel board. And then there's 3 barrel boards per level, and there's 21 levels, plus the 22nd level is the kill screen. So there's a lot of barrel screens to rake up those points. And then they're doing other stuff that's crazy. That's like point pressing, that is way out there to in order to get those high scores. So like pretty much, if you're playing your game and you're not on the schedule to get the record, you basically probably stop your game. I guess Robbie would say he keeps going because you never know if you're going to have just a big point pressing barrel screen. But there's a certain point where you're mathematically, you cannot get the record even if you got to the kill screen. So that's where it's at now. It's so pushed so high that if you're off pace, you're going to probably need to just restart because you're not going to get to it. So I can't spend that much time. Yeah, the personal best was during COVID. It was kind of funny. Like, it was like we were shut down. Schools were all shut down. I'm at home, and Robbie was even telling me, at least do 1.1 million. And I go, I can do 1.1. I think with my current skill, I can get 1,150,000 is what I thought would be a good score for me to get at least. But so that's why I went and did that personal best. And there was a lot of people were doing that Twitch. Have you heard of that Twitch?
Oh yeah, Twitch. Gee, everyone was doing Twitch 6 years ago. Oh my goodness gracious.
It was Donkey Kong was hotter than ever. It was like I was on Twitch doing some games, Robbie, and there's other gamer on Donkey Kong, John McCurdy, who's like only 1,000 points less than Robbie. They were going back and forth. I mean, Robbie would get 270,000, and John would get 271,000, and they were just barely leapfrogging. It's like, just to know that you have to go back and do that all over again. I can't imagine. And John, I haven't heard from him in a lot. I think he must have just said, even though he's only 1,000 points away from Robbie's score, I haven't heard from him. But there's another gamer that's named Justin Elliott that is climbing up the ranks, and he has the ability to beat Robbie. But still, you have to put in, even if you have the skill, you have to put in the hours, and that skill and the hours will finally meet up. So that's what Justin's doing, and he has the Donkey Kong Junior. If you look at the Junior record, he's got like 1,500,000 or 600,000 something up there. So his Donkey Kong Junior score is really high, and then he's still wanting to get this. Justin's trying to get the Donkey Kong record too. So who knows if he'll ever be broken again? But there's somebody still actively going for it, as far as I know.
If you were to compete in arcade competitive gaming again, would you compete in like a different game, like a Pac-Man or a Galaga or one of them?
Probably not. Maybe Galaga. I like that game a lot. But Pac-Man, not Pac-Man. I did play that when I was in the arcades, and I learned like the patterns, and there's the 9th key pattern that when the ghosts don't turn blue anymore, and I remember learning that and getting to the 9th keys and playing on that. But then I would always screw up that pattern somehow, like miss a turn or something, which is very impressive to get a perfect Pac-Man. You can't like bumble. I mean, if you do, then you're gonna have to figure out a way to recover. But I would probably maybe play Galaga even, but I'd still stick with Donkey Kong. I don't think there's a better game.
No, you're not going to go and get better than 33rd in the Stampede records.
No, that's a funny story. I don't even know why that got entered. I was at a convention. It was actually the 2004 Classic Gaming Expo in San Jose, and I was down there. And I talk about this in my memoir where I'm trying to show that I can play the game of Donkey Kong. But then there's one of the Twin Galaxies guys was running a Stampede little station, a side table, and I just went over there and played a game, and I got like a score. And he goes, "Okay, I'm entering this on the website." Whatever. I guess not many people are. I'm 33rd in the world on Stampede. That's not even. That score was horrible.
Oh, you gotta try get it. You gotta try and get at least 30 seconds. You know.
I know. I have to move up the ladder for sure.
Absolutely. We'll get away from competitive gaming for now because I've kind of ran out of questions for that because you've actually done a lot more than just the competitive gaming. One thing you got from the King of Kong was a lot of acting appearances, mainly extra stuff, such as films like Four Christmases and Pixels, and more recently Back in Action. How the hell did you get into all those movies?
That is wild as well. Yeah. So with the documentary that came out, and it just had a total blew up, like it was just huge, and there was people in the Hollywood, like there was I was told like Justin Timberlake got his hands on a copy of it and was meeting with Seth Gordon, who's the director of King of Kong, and Justin was like, "Can I meet Steve?" Or he was trying to like figure out if he. It never happened. I never met Justin, but and then there was the rumor that like the Saturday Night Live crew, the cast was like in the middle of filming, and they got a bootleg copy of the King of Kong, and they were all watching it and laughing at it and stuff. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. And then Vince Vaughn was aware of the documentary, and he wanted Seth Gordon to direct Four Christmases, which was coming out in 2008 is when Four Christmases came out, and 2007 is when King of Kong came out. So when Vince Vaughn asked Seth to be the director, or arranged for Seth to direct King of Kong or Four Christmases, he wanted me to be in there as well as I had a non-speaking role, but I was in there enough where I had to take a month off of school. They had me stay down in LA. I guess it was one of Cary Grant's old apartments or a house that Cary Grant used to stay in or lived in at one time. So I was there for a month, did my scenes. I was in a few different locations, but I was just sleeping in one shot. I was actually playing a Donkey Kong. The funny thing, Vince was thinking it would be funny if I would be playing a Donkey Kong game on a handheld version of it, while my wife, Kristen Chenoweth, was my wife, and then she was handing me the baby as I'm trying to play. If you watch the movie, it's pretty funny. So that's how that came about. It was Seth Gordon, the director of King of Kong, was instantly recognized as like somebody that people wanted to direct some Hollywood movies. So the first one was Four Christmases, and then Seth went on to do like you said, there was Seth didn't direct Pixels. That was Chris Columbus who did. Was it the Harry Potters that Chris did? Or I think he did all the Harry Potters. Christopher Columbus. But that's where Adam Sandler was on. He was in Pixels, and so it was kind of neat that when I showed up there, Adam, who likes to play basketball, if you've seen his movies, he and I were playing 2-on-2 against another couple guys on the crew, and there was a gym near the set. It was like that's what Seth does. Adam does during his breaks. He plays basketball. He loves basketball, so that's what we did. Sounds nice. Great to have play 2-on-2, having Adam as my teammate. And then there was a few other things that came up. If you've seen the Goldbergs, that TV show that went on for like 10 years, it was kind of like a Wonder Years, but took place instead of the wherever the Wonder Years was in the 50s or whatever. It was like from the 80s. It was covered like a family in the 80s, and I was in the pilot episode of that. And there was a couple other things. You mentioned Back in Action. Um, Another one was Identity Thief that had Jason Bateman in it. And then also Horrible Bosses. I was in that one with Jason Bateman was in that one as well. But I never know. I don't look for these things. I'll just get a text message from Seth saying, "Hey, I got a movie. Are you available? And I'm doing this next movie." And I go, "Sure, of course." So that's how they actually come out.
Are you to Seth Gordon what John Ratzenberger was to Pixar, where he was in like nearly all the Pixars?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It was the good luck charm, I guess, is what he called me.
yeah, I'd say so. And most recently, actually got to act and narrate in an official LEGO Donkey Kong advert. How did the call
Yeah.
happen for that, and what was it like appearing in that advert and being recognized by not only LEGO but Nintendo as well for your Donkey Kong achievements?
Yeah, that was another one where I thought I was being punked, where I get an email in the morning. It was three different platforms. It was a Facebook message, Instagram, and my school email. And it was somebody in Denmark saying they're gonna film this Lego commercial, and they're asking if I could be available for it. And I had to look up the company and make sure they were legit, and they were legit. And I gave them a call that morning, and they were talking about what the commercial would be. It's like I'm in a house, or they were going to have me in the streets at coffee shops, and I'm being basically haunted by Mario, Donkey Kong. The princess appears, and I'm kind of like hallucinating, wondering what am I seeing here, and then so that's basically what the commercial was, where I'm at a house trying to relax. I'm not thinking about world records. And then I start imagining or thinking I'm seeing these things. And of course, that leads me to the garage. And I go out and there's that Donkey Kong Lego set that I go out and there and I'm playing it and putting it together. So it's a nice little skit that they put. I love the idea of it. And um, I remember looking at people's comments like they're thinking it looks like why is this like a horror show? It's like, well, I'm being I'm being haunted. It's like it's kind of spooky but then it becomes lighthearted when I get out to the garage. It's like I'm playing. I'm happy.
Yeah, the whole idea was like the Donkey Kong is haunting you wherever you go, and the barrels are
Yeah,
rolling, and you can hear the and all that. But when you get to the garage, you still love the game, and here's me assembling it, and
yeah,
here's me playing the game, and it's all wholesome music and yada yada. Once it gets to that part, it was very well done. And it was clever marketing. Like if there was a way to market a Lego Donkey Kong set, I mean, no better man to get than
yeah.
yourself. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
yeah, that was a fun gig for sure. I loved it. Yeah.
You also do some music as well. So, what made you get into music? What made you start writing your own songs and performing music?
That goes way back before even video games or in parallel back in high school and even before junior high. I had bands. I played the drums um and then I started messing with piano like in high school, and we would write our own original music. And my friend Mike Thompson was the singer, the screenwriter. Mike Thompson, he was our singer. I played drums in the band, but I still would write on the piano. And I wrote a couple songs that our band, it was named Scoria, was our high school band name. And then in college, I always wanted to do music as a career. I was like a big Rush fan. Like that's my favorite band of all time. Um, but I didn't write Rush music. It was more pop, rock, piano music. So I started in college though, or post college. We had another band in the early '90s, and it was when the grunge movement in Seattle was taking shape. You had like Nirvana, Soundgarden, all those bands that came out of Seattle during that time. So we were trying to get signed, and we didn't quite get there. but I still wanted to keep doing music, and I wrote my own songs and played piano still, and I wrote a CD called The King of Song. It comes from the King of Kong.
Clever name.
Yeah. So it's Christian music, worship music. It's not like the worship music that you would that you might think of it like you'd hear in the church. It's more pop rock. It's contemporary Christian. And then I did ended up doing three albums with a singer that I had met in church. Had his own solo career. Timothy James Meany is his name. So I did a few vocal albums, and I ended up doing some instrumental albums that I had written so many songs that it was more cost effective just to make them instrumentals. So I did five instrumental albums. Did a three. I mean, I actually have a total of 10 albums out there. No one knows about it. They're on Spotify, but if you're ever interested, you can go out there. There's another vocal album I just finished out a couple years ago, and then I've actually written a single that I haven't released yet. It's named after my memoir, the space between wonder and why. It's the theme song. It's kind of silly, but a song came to my head, and I wrote a song called the name of the book. So it's like became my theme song, which hasn't been released, but I'm having someone sing it right now, and I'm hopefully going to put it out on YouTube, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's one of my best ones I've written, but that's I've always loved music. I've always written it. So it's always been what I wanted to do, but I've turned it into a hobby now. I don't have to, I'm over like trying to make it my living. I'm a school teacher. That's why I've adopted that as my living. Yeah.
Have you ever thought of maybe scoring music for video games? Because I've listened to a lot of the music that you did before this interview, and some of the instrumentals, I was going, goodness me, slap this over as some like Zelda or a Sonic and the Black Knight or one of them, and oh my goodness, we're having peak music for this game. Like,
I bet it fits really good. I haven't thought about putting it onto a video game, but that's something that I would be open to if anyone's has any market or a way that I could get those instrumentals to somebody in that. I imagine they have their own little music crew for those video games that they don't go out and look for people to
it's
write
changed
the music.
actually. It used to be
Has it?
employ. Yeah, it used to be a lot. There's a couple of companies out there where they employ composers, but a lot of them now
Yeah.
do contractors.
There's okay, so it's open. So if I could maybe look into that world, maybe I can submit some of my stuff and see if they want it. But I've been told like if you know who Carl Jobst is.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I recognize him.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he yeah, my YouTube channel was didn't have many subscribers yet, and then at the end of one of his videos, he mentioned go check out Steve Wiebe's channel because I put music videos on it because I'd write the songs and make music videos and put them on YouTube. And then I got like overnight, I got like 1,000 more subscribers, and people are like saying, this stuff could be on video games and stuff. I remember hearing some of those comments.
You also got to drum at a My Chemical Romance concert.
Yes.
What was that like? What was that experience?
That was another crazy, everything seems crazy. So it was one of those, another email comes up out of nowhere, and it's Mikey Way is the bassist of My Chemical Romance, and his friend, I think it was just a friend, it wasn't a bandmate, that reached out on behalf of Mikey saying, hey, the band really loves the documentary, that they're going to be in Portland, which is like 2 hours south of Seattle, 2.5 hours. It was on a weeknight, I can't remember which weeknight, but it wasn't like I was on a Saturday where I could stay overnight. And but it was they said we want you to play on the song "Teenagers," which was one of the popular ones back on that album. It was like a shorter one, and I listened up to it and I learned it. But when I went down there with my friend Mike Thompson again, because he's a screenwriter and he doesn't have to get back to a 9 to 5 job the next day. It was like, I'm just going to throw out Wednesday. It was like on a Wednesday night or something. So we drove down there on a Wednesday night, and then we had to come back that same night. So we got home like at 2 in the morning. But we drove down there and we checked in. It's called the Crystal Ballroom in Portland, and we don't see any of the My Chemical Romance guys. And the person at the box office was like looking at, we're saying, we're here to see Mikey Way. And the guy's like thinking, yeah, right. If I, I'm not going to just let any clown in here. And we're thinking we came all this way for nothing. Like somehow we're going to get turned around. But then Mikey Way, actually, I looked inside and there he is. He's like waving at us. And then he got us in, but we didn't have time to rehearse the song Teenagers, because you don't want to go out there and just have it be a train wreck. You got to have it, there's people paid good money to hear this. So they ended up giving me a drum solo instead. I'll go, okay, I'll take a drum solo. So they introduced me. Here's Steve Wiebe from the King of Kong. And it was kind of a blur, but I remember just the whole floor is like a trampoline. If anyone's been to the Crystal Ballroom, it's a hardwood, but it's like people bounce on it like it's a springboard. And the whole place is like, it's like crazy how that place is. But they were going wild. It's probably, I don't know how many people fit in the Crystal Ballroom, but it was packed. It's My Chemical Romance was big. So it was an intimate setting, but it was packed. So it was, I think, I was hoping someone would have it on like a phone, but I didn't have any pictures or anything until a little while ago. I got some pictures of it and I put it in my memoir. I have a picture of me on the drums in
Brilliant.
the book. Yeah.
That's class. That's amazing. We'll get onto your book in just a moment. I just want to ask one last music question. We'll get into the book. And that is, can Steve Wiebe play the Donkey Kongas?
I remember there was a video game that used those, and I went to some, I think it was when I visited Nintendo, the offices or somewhere, and the person had me playing that those. I was like, I can play Kongas okay, and I'm not like exactly like versed in all the techniques on Kongas, but I can like hit them. But I remember it was a video game that uses that, right? Is there
Donkey Konga, and it came with these bongo Donkey Kong drums.
I remember playing that in some business play. It was like a Nintendo when I visited Nintendo, yeah. Because Nintendo has a place in Redmond where I live, and their offices are there, and I think I was there at one point, and we brought those out and played. Pretty funny.
Brilliant. So I'm glad the answer was a yes.
Yeah, I can play them. I don't know if I'm good at the game, but I can play them.
Yeah. We could maybe rewire it into a MIDI controller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on to your memoir now. You've put out a memoir called The Space Between Wonder and Why. And instead of asking the typical question of why did you write a book, I'm going to kind of word it a little differently and say, did Mr. Awesome's book inspire you to write your own book?
Does Mr. Awesome have a book? That's my first question.
Oh my God, you don't know about the Mr. Awesome book?
I know he has a comic. Is it the comic book that you're talking
about? Yeah, the comic. Yeah, the comic.
Comic. Okay, I know about that. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going for that at all. Yeah, I took a total different direction than Mr. Awesome.
Not the memoir.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a comic.
So, yeah, the comic book. Yeah, that's classic. I think he showed me some of his pictures in that. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, no, it was totally not inspired by that. But it's been 20 years. I hadn't thought, well, to go back a couple years after the King of Kong came out, there was a person that lived in San Diego that reached out and was wanting to do a book, and they wanted to have a ghostwriter, a guy that wrote it for me, but I would talk about the stuff. I shared stories, and the guy that reached out to me, his name is David Fugate, who actually represents Andy Weir, who wrote The Martian and Project Hail Mary. So this is a big guy now, David Fugate. Before then, this was like in 2000, 2008 or 2009. This was before Andy Weir. But we were trying to make this book happen, but the ghostwriter and I didn't have any magic. There was nothing. It was so dry. It was like a technical like a technical writing document. Like it kind of read like that. So it didn't work. So we kind of stopped working on it. And then, but I always had all these stories, and I kept, one story added up after another. Every year there's something that happened. So eventually, just like sometime in, I think it was like October of last year, I just got the idea. I mean, I always thought about doing a book, but it just came to me like without really thinking about it. So I wrote a couple chapters of it, and then I sent it to my friend Mike Thompson. I go, "What do you think I should do this?" He goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So I kind of stalled for a second, thinking I don't know where to go from here. But then I woke up another day and I go, "Okay, I know where to go now." And then I basically churned it out in like 2 months. Like it was like I was like a possessed person. Like I'd wake up in the morning and get the laptop and writing at any time between class periods at school. I was writing in the car with it was like I knew the momentum. If you lose momentum on those kinds of things, it might not come back. So I got it all out in like 2.5 months. And I was looking for an agent to publish it. And I remembered David Fugate, who had moved on, like, of course, doing bigger and better things. So, but I still had his contact number or his email and his phone number too. So I left a message. I think I might have emailed him and left him my phone number. And he got back to me. I was like, wow, that's cool. I remember, because he liked my story then. But I was going, well, if he liked it then, hopefully he'll at least give me the time of day now. So he called me. It was in the middle of a meeting at school, so I had to walk out and pretend I was going to the bathroom. I got to go to the bathroom. So I talked to him, and I go, well, you know what, David, I finished this book. Remember we had that thing going and it didn't work out. And I go, well, I wrote it all now and I have it. I go, and he goes, well, I don't know if the markets will bear that book anymore. And, but tell you what, I'll give it a look. I got to go to New York, and we got the premiere of Project Hail Mary's premiering in New York. I'm gonna be gone, but I'll get to it. I'll get back to you. And then a week or two later, he did get back and just said, yeah, I don't think I could sell this, he didn't comment on whether it was good or not. But I mean, in order to sell it to a major publisher, it's got to have like something more to it than what I had. So anyways, I went ahead and I self-published it. I had the idea for the cover, and I got a guy to design the book cover. I wanted to be Venn diagrams, kind of like with a mathematical mind I am. Like the overlapping circles are like a Venn diagram. So that's where the idea of the cover is. And then so he designed the cover, and I got in, and I had to buy an application, an app called Atticus, which is a formatting book. To format the book, and I put the pictures in. It took a while to get all that dialed in, so it landed all correctly. So then I just got that done. I had about 5 or 6 friends proofread it, look it over. I read it multiple times, looking through it, and I published it on June. I think it was June 22nd, like a couple months ago. So it's been out for 2 months. It's on Amazon, and I ended up doing the cinematic memoir, which you mentioned earlier before we got on air, I think.
Yeah. What made you make the cinematic memoir? Because I was looking at that and even just listening to it in the background and going, well, it's very well narrated. It's very clear. When it's needed, there's a couple of pictures showing, okay, here's me with my college lads doing the baseball or whatnot, and here's the Donkey Kong, here's this quote. it was very well put together for that sort of stuff. So what made you make the cinematic memoir, and how long did it take for you to write and narrate it?
Yeah. So the book was done, and before while I was writing the book, there was a place in the UK that was wanting to do the story, um, my story, as a like a prestige television show. So it was something that was like the Queen's Gambit, kind of a six episodes um, TV show of my story, maybe coming from my perspective. And then so I talked to these people, and what we had to do is, if you remember, New Line Cinemas bought the life rights, my life rights. So I don't own my life rights. So I had to go through Seth Gordon and Ed Cunningham. I had to work with them and the other people at this company that wanted to do the show, and they worked and they couldn't figure out, like, the life rights weren't able to get any life rights. So the idea of the show got stymied. But that triggered my idea, like, well, I can just do my own little television show with my book. So I basically set out that angle where I was going to narrate, show the book on the screen, do like some video images, and then my songs are all played underneath it, a low enough level where you can't doesn't disrupt the narration. But all my original music is part of the soundscape. If you listen to the background of it all, so that's where the idea came in, and it takes like a lot of time, like maybe 6 hours per episode. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I got quicker as it went, but to narrate, and then I have to go in and audio edit it, put the music with it, and doing all the video editing and coming up with the images and all that takes time to come up with all that. So, and then there's 33 episodes I just got finished with. They're still coming out 2 a week, Mondays and Thursdays. So if you haven't seen them, they're on my YouTube channel, The Space Between Wonder and Why. And then I finished up the first season. There's 119 chapters in the book. So I've done 33. And what I've done, someone earlier on mentioned, hey, would you put all these together into a single episode, like string them together? So in a couple weeks, the whole first season, 33 episodes, will come out, and it's an 83-minute little feature film, kind of, with all these 33 episodes, and it plays for 83 minutes. So if you have, I called it the prequel to the King of Kong prequel, because it kind of shows how did I arrive at the King of Kong. It shows all the stuff before and things that don't come up in the King of Kong documentary. There's a lot of those stories that I tell in my book. So that's happening now. There's episodes dropping weekly, and then the big feature film of it will happen at the very end of the last episode.
What's your favorite chapter in the book?
There's one that when I get to meet Rush backstage, it's called "You Bet Your Life" is the name of the chapter. So there was an opportunity in 2004, before the documentary even was filmed, where my friend from my high school band had a connection to get backstage. This was like, not like when you're thinking backstage, not like I'm on the set and like looking and behind the curtains. It's like there's some studios before the gig, before the show. There's some studio buildings where I got to I didn't meet Getty and Alex until the meet and greet, where there's all the whole public, whoever had a chance, whoever bought the meet and greet or got some pass there, where you get to go through a line and get a picture with them. So I didn't meet them separately from that, but I was in the studios, and I handed the way we got back there was from Neil Peart's assistant, who is connected with my friend. So I gave him a picture of I drew the band, and in college I drew one of the albums has a picture of the band. I sketched it by hand, and I gave it to this Neil Peart's assistant to have all of the band members sign it, and he brought it back, and they were all signed.
Oh,
So
lovely.
that was awesome. So but I didn't get to see them back, in the studio buildings, but I got to meet Eddie and Gallic, uh, Getty and Alex. Eddie and Gallic is what I was trying to say. Getty and Alex, I got to see them in the meet and greet, and then Neil doesn't come out to meet people because there was too much, like when his wife and his daughter had passed away. There was too many. It was just difficult for him to deal with all that. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, so that was that's probably my favorite chapter. It's one of the longer chapters too, but there's a lot of stories about that day. It was like a magical day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, drawing a
Yeah,
picture of a band and then getting them to
yeah,
sign it for you. I mean, it's just class. You
it was,
can't get any
it was
better than that.
for sure. Yeah.
How did you say your colleagues at your school and your students feel about all these extracurricular activities that you've been doing?
I think the most recent one with Lego, I was looking at some of the comments, and like a few of my students that I recognize, they go, why is my geometry teacher in a Lego commercial? So I think they're like blown away about it. And I told some of my students that I had on the I was coaching golf in the spring. I told some of the girl golfers, like, hey, this commercial's coming out, but I didn't say what it was about. I just said there's a commercial. Um, but I was told not to give any details, like I couldn't tell anybody what it was like. So they were aware, but I think a lot of the students that saw it for the first time were just like, what the heck? And they were just commenting. So that was great to see some of those.
I find a lot of your students over the years who claim to have been taught by you have always seem to have like positive memories of you. I know one of them posted, I don't know how they got a hold of it, but they posted a video of you teaching in your class and doing a rap song about multiplication.
Oh wow, the foil wrap probably.
Yeah, do the foil.
Do the foil. Where'd you find that? I'm trying to look for that.
I
Is that
just searched
somewhere
up Steve Wiebe teacher because you know I hate to say it, when I do research
Yeah.
I go overboard. I go way over the
Yeah.
top. All right, so I just searched up
Deep
Steve
dive.
Wiebe teacher and I found that do the foil thing. I was like, oh my god, I wish my maths teachers did that. I wish that they could do stuff like that.
Yeah, I just had a student that reached out, and like I'm offering these signed memoirs. Like if you go to I have the directions on YouTube. If you go to one of my Gmail, you can request a signed copy of the book. And one of my old students from like probably 20 years ago now, was like, hey, remember me? I'd like you to sign copy it. And I still remember your songs, Do the Foil. And there's another song that I had called the Quadratic Formula Funk. It was a more funky tune. And I always joke around with the kids, like, it would hit number 2 in Belgium. Like there was this movie called Singles. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Singles.
Don't think
It
I
was
have.
in the 90s. Yeah, it was in the 90s. It's kind of like from the Seattle area, and there was this band that was like saying, "We're huge in Belgium," like so. So I was just kind of go, "Hey, it's number 2 in Belgium on the charts."
Yeah,
It's kind of for a joke.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so that's my little I tried to incorporate since I couldn't get a music deal, like signed music deal. I tried to bring my music to the classroom, and that's what to teach some of these skills, like the foil, when you do the foil, when you multiply binomials together. So
Yeah.
that's where that came from.
Yeah, I wish I had a teacher who did that in maths, because, like, I mean, I couldn't. None of it stuck. I'm sorry, Mr. Brew. None of your maths stuck. I know
Yeah.
you sat there for ages, teaching me the stuff, and none of it came in. You should have just done the foil.
Do the foil. It works every time.
Now, I suppose we're coming close to the end of the interview now, because we've been here for a very long time. So I suppose probably my last sort of question for you would be, any sort of plans for the future? Anything you're looking to do?
I don't see writing any more books. Maybe music. I kind of trying to move on from that, but I do have that single of the Space Between Winter and Wide coming out in another probably 2 weeks. I don't have any acting things coming out that I know of. You never know. Before long, I might get a text message. Trying to think, what else could I explore at this point? I think I just don't want to go after any more video game records. I think just chill, like travel, enjoy some stuff. Probably a few years away from retiring from teaching, so doesn't mean I'm going to stop living. I would always thought about maybe doing some of my music, getting a band, to put together some band that would play my music, but that asks a lot of people to learn your stuff, and then there's not going to be any money involved, so I don't think I could get people to really, or maybe just form a cover band, like play it, film on a film festival, but like when there's little parks, and like Redmond Parks has like little film some festivals during the summer that they hire bands. Maybe I could just start playing cover band stuff, like 80s music or something. I don't know what it would be, but
well, there's a
yeah,
demand for that. There's the demand for that tribute band stuff. Like my mom is doing a tribute band at the moment, and you'd think there wouldn't be any demand, but she has the whole turnout in the country. And you're going, what the hell?
Yeah, there's people come out. Like there's this band it's called Nightwave that came to like the city of nearby us, and yeah, there 600 people came out just to watch them play Flock of Seagulls stuff, Iran and Duran Duran songs. So there's still people like that stuff.
Yeah. And since you said that you want to do a lot of travel, would you do like any appearances at maybe some European arcades? Because we don't have as big of an arcade scene, compared to America, but there's a few arcades here and there. So would you do any appearances maybe at any of them?
Yeah, maybe I start doing that stuff, like advertising. Hey, if you want me to appear at your arcade, just find a ticket for me to get over there and put me up in the hotel, and I'll come over there. Yeah, that would be awesome to be able to do that. So I haven't been to Ireland yet. I'd love to go there. We were in Denmark, was great to be there for that Lego commercial. I'd like to go to Australia at some point. There's all kinds of places I haven't been to that I'd love to go, but definitely that's one thing that I've thought about. If you want, arcade owners out there want me to come over, reach out. I have an email. If you look on my YouTube channel, you can find it.
All right, so Token Level Up Arcade in Limerick, you know who to call.
Yeah, give me a call.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, Steve, it's been great chatting with you. Definitely one of my favorites I've ever done. I mean, it's one of my longest I've ever done as well. So one of my favorites for sure. Steve, thank you so much for coming on. Any last things you'd like to say, and would you like to plug in your own socials?
I just have to say thanks for you having me on, and for everybody that's followed The King of Kong and the cinematic memoir. There's some people watching that. I appreciate their support, and for the book. If you go check out my book, I think that'll give you some different perspective than what The King of Kong gave you. The socials, you can look me up on mainly my YouTube channel would have a link to like my Spotify and Facebook. But if you go to my YouTube channel, it's at Steve Wiebe 722 is like, and I'm having a picture of me with my fist up. It's my cover of the King of Song album cover. It has like me at the piano with my raised fist. So you'll be able to tell it's my channel, but check out the cinematic memoir. Like you said, I put a lot of time into it, and I think they came out pretty good. So
yeah, absolutely. And you can find me simply on my YouTube channel, Jack Lucas Caffrey. I'm also available on Instagram and Facebook, where I post highlights of all the interviews I do and some other shenanigans as well. But with that, Steve, thank you very much for coming on. I'll speak to you soon, and I'll hopefully see you in another interview very soon.